You know someone like this. You've watched them cause damage, clear and undeniable, and then stand there and explain why it wasn't their fault, or why you misunderstood, or why you're actually the problem for bringing it up. No apology. Ever. And you've probably spent time wondering if they genuinely don't see it, or if they see it and simply don't care. Here's the answer, and it's more complicated than either of those options. Most people assume that refusing to apologize is a confidence move, that the person doing it feels so secure in themselves they don't feel the need to account for their behavior. The research says the opposite. The people who struggle most with apology, who deflect, who turn it around, who rewrite what happened until they're the victim, are typically not operating from a place of genuine security. They're operating from a place of fragile self-esteem, the kind that looks like confidence from the outside and feels like a house of cards from the inside. Here's the mechanism. For most people, apologizing feels uncomfortable but manageable. You did something wrong, you acknowledge it, you move forward. For people with fragile or shame-based self-concept, the same sequence plays out very differently. The apology doesn't feel like acknowledging a single action. It feels like admitting to being a fundamentally flawed person, permanently, without appeal. Psychologists make a crucial distinction here between guilt, I did something bad, and shame, I am bad. Guilt can coexist with a stable sense of self. Shame cannot. And people who experience criticism as an attack on their entire identity rather than feedback about a specific behavior cannot apologize for the same reason they can't absorb the criticism in the first place. It's not that they're weighing the options and choosing denial. It's that their self-protective system is treating accountability as a threat to survival. This is why apology-resistant people don't just stay quiet. They escalate. They counterattack. They bring up old grievances. They reframe the situation until you're the one who caused the problem and they're the one who's been wronged. Researcher Jennifer Fried identified a specific pattern in this. She called it DARVO: deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. It shows up with remarkable consistency across research on people who chronically avoid accountability. The attack isn't random aggression. It's a defense mechanism running at full power, trying to neutralize an ego threat the way the nervous system would neutralize a physical one. There's a second layer. Even when these individuals privately know they did something wrong, and research suggests many of them do on some level, apologizing still feels impossible because of what it would mean for their self-narrative. People protect their identities the same way they protect their beliefs. There's a term researchers use, identity protective cognition, for the way humans reject information that threatens their core self-concept, not because they're unintelligent, but because the psychological cost of updating the narrative is too high to absorb in the moment. Here's the part that reframes everything. The person in your life who never apologizes is not, in most cases, someone who genuinely doesn't care about other people. They're someone whose relationship with their own self-worth is so conditional and so fragile that accountability feels indistinguishable from annihilation. That doesn't make the behavior acceptable. It doesn't excuse the damage. But it does mean that waiting for them to apologize the way a secure person would is waiting for someone to do something their current psychological architecture makes genuinely, structurally impossible. The apology you're waiting for isn't being withheld out of strength. It's being withheld because the person giving it would have to become someone fundamentally different to mean it. That's not a reason to stay and absorb the impact. It's a reason to stop taking the absence of accountability as evidence about your worth, and start taking it as information about theirs.